I want to welcome you to another video presentation brought to you by AccraGhana.com. This is a website that is absolutely dedicated to the capital city of Ghana. We came across this video by WODE MAYA. Let's open it so that we can give the creator the credit they deserve. Okay, great YouTuber, but do we agree with everything that he publishes and says? No, but I think this video touches on an issue that I think is very, very important to almost every city, right? When you are building a city, for example, you're going to have to plan ahead of time on how you're going to take care of the city, how you're going to manage the city, how you, most importantly, sanitation. Right? How are you going to manage your city? How are you going to clean up your city? How often? Who is going to do it? Where would the resources come from? And sewage management, or waste management, if you will. Waste management is also part of it. So sanitation is one of the things that we talk about on AccraGhana.com. Right? Sanitation is a pressing issue in Accra. Okay? Impacting public health, the environment, the quality of life. The city faces challenges like inadequate waste management, poor drainage systems. That's why you have open gutters and limited access to public toilets and widespread pollution. And when I saw this video, I think the thumbnail is kind of really interesting because he showed before and then after, right? Before and after. I personally believe that Accra as a city has failed miserably. If you have this in your city, right? What does it say about your city? If you have open gutters in your city, what does it say about your city? Right? I really think that it is a shame for someone to arrive from Europe or from Asia or from America and they walk on the street, which is a street that is not even properly planned, because I'm asking myself, where is the sidewalk? When you build a street, or when you plan a city and you construct a street or a road, you want the road to have a sidewalk. Okay? If pedestrians are walking here, which is, it puts them in a position where they could easily be hit by a car. Not a very safe street, right? But what I really want to focus on is the fact that Accra is not a clean city. It is not. If you've lived in Accra, you know that Accra is not a clean city. We made a video a while back. A woman who also complained, she came from America, she complained about this video. Let's take a look at this video.
I have never ever in my life seen a beach with so much trash on it. Look at the trash in the water. Look how brown the water is. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. We have a plastic problem. We have a waste management problem. We have a responsibility problem. I don't get it.
I think part of it partly is because I think the citizens of Accra are not responsible. Okay, I think it has a lot also to do with survival. Okay, people are hustling, people want to survive. Most people do not have any income. Let's take a look at this video. I think this video pretty much demonstrates that Accra is not it's a failed city, right? And you can talk about how beautiful it is, but we all know that beauty is not good enough. And I think what really annoys me is the fact that Accra is comparatively more expensive than so many cities around the world. I will tell you that Accra is more expensive than so many cities here in Europe. Comparatively, if you compare the salaries that the average citizen of Accra or Ghana earns, if you look at their wages and you look at how expensive this country really is, it's unbelievable. So, and the fact that I think he's lived in China, so he has something to compare. It's not like he went there for holidays, but living in a certain country like China gives you a different way to look at China and then compare China with Ghana. This is something that he should be making a lot of videos about this and say this is unacceptable, right? Open gutter in Accra, and yet you have all these luxurious homes, these big huge skyscrapers, when you cannot be able to even conceal your waste, not even take care of your waste, right? And I understand that these guys they are volunteers, so which means Accra really hasn't actually been able to create not only a process but a system or maybe a structure where it will be possible for the city to be cleaned up. So these are all volunteers.
A group of young guys who does more like charity, should I say, and we're just going to solve one problem that has been facing Accra, which is flooding, right? So there's a group of young guys who...
It is not so much about the flooding. It is how the city was planned, how it was built. It was not... Accra is not a sustainable city. Accra gets flooded. You know, I know a whole bunch of people who build literally mansions in Ghana, and sometimes I look at them and I just really laugh. I said, you know, because their houses were never like sustainable houses. They were never planned against flooding, right? And this is something that Accra faces every single year.
Who does more like charity, should I say a charity work, because they clean the country for free. They've just taken upon themselves to clean the country for free. And last week Friday,
and the question becomes, these are young people, okay, who have non-profit organization, who have maybe non-profit organizations, and they're running around cleaning the country. This is what the politicians will be doing, right? I think every politician, every senator, maybe a governor, a minister, should come out during the weekends and clean up the street, clean up the gutters, right? I think African politicians are so corrupt and they are so entitled that they have gotten away with so much for far too long. And these young men are cleaning up the gutters. Look at the gutters, right? In 2025, this is part of Accra. Would you consider this to be a developed city? Hell no. This is not a developed city. If you have lived in America, maybe in a place like New York, London, or maybe Paris, you know that these cities are well planned. They were well planned ahead. They had been planned ahead of time, right? With very good sewage systems, But Accra is not like that. And this video literally exposes the flaws, how underdeveloped Accra really is. And what are they doing with the money? Right? What are they doing with all this money? During COVID-19, people were paying $150 to get into Ghana. It tells you a lot about how corrupt, okay, the city really is. This is a city. Accra is not a city, right? How do I know? I used to work in an IT engineering company, and we used to design cities. We used to plan different cities, build different infrastructures. And when I look at a city like Accra is not a city. There was a YouTuber from the Netherlands. I think she's called Anna or something. There was a time she was talking about how Accra really needs a complete overhauling, right? Literally. And that's true, right? Open gutters are not supposed to be there. They're very easy to build. They're very easy to maintain, to manage, right? Or to renovate. I don't know what, if Ghanaians cannot be able to do this, what else can Ghanaians do? Right? These are the guys who are supposed to be the workers. They are supposed to be the environmentalists, right? They're supposed to be paid very well, more than doctors. Seriously, when I say more than doctors, you need to see cities that have sanitation and pollution issues. You know what happens? People get sick. People get sick a lot. If you can take care of your environment, clean up, conceal all these gutters. For example, yellow fever would drop. The cases of malaria would drop. But unfortunately, that is not how Ghanaians think. Right? Ghanaians do not think that way. Ghanaians think about clout. We think about royalty. We think about how beautiful something really looks. This is not beautiful. This is really ugly. This is terrible. Okay? That's why I've always said that Accra is not a city. Accra does not even deserve the kind of hype that it gets. Okay? This is a city where a piece of land is being sold for $1 million. Right? There are, okay, it's laughable.
Friday, I decided to just, I joined them as they cleaned one of their places, and they were like, we cannot finish this today. We have to finish next week Monday, which is today. And I'm like, you know what? Since I'm here, I want to invite everybody to come so that we can all do it together today. I want to see 100 people.
Look, I think it's really good that he's highlighting this. He's drawing attention to it, right? So that people can focus on one of the ugly sides of Ghana, right? But it also tells you a lot. What else? It also tells you a lot about how much the city has failed, how much Ghana has failed. This is not only in Accra though. If you go to Lagos, it's the same thing. If you go to Nairobi, it's the same thing. I don't know about some of the cities in South Africa. I think they're the same thing. They're managed by Africans, and you know how corrupt we really are. We really are corrupt, right? Think about how much money is in Ghana. Okay, you look at some of these huge houses. Okay, areas that houses are being sold for $400,000, $500,000 US. And part of Accra is like this, right? And it takes volunteers. And the politicians are living in their mansions, right? They have side chicks. They're buying cars and gifting these cars to their side chicks, right? They live extraordinarily comfortable lives. Okay, these politicians should be held accountable because they are not doing their job. They're not really doing their job. If you have a city like this where it takes a non-profit organization to come and clean up the gutters, it tells you a lot about how one of the things that I've actually realized about Africans is that we don't know how to build cities. We don't know how to build what we like to call republics, right? We don't know how to build cities. We don't know how to manage them. If we build them, we can manage them properly, right? And if we were smarter enough, right, we should have actually taken the advantage of the fact that the Chinese are interested in our resources. So we can get the Chinese, negotiate with them. But unfortunately, our negotiation skills are not really that great. Should have actually negotiated with them. Have them come. The Chinese have been on the continent for a very, very long time. They have been on the continent of Africa for what? For decades. We should have actually negotiated with them to build very good sewage systems for us so that they can have the gold. They need our land, okay? They need our natural resources. But unfortunately, we're very bad when it comes to our negotiations, right? When it comes to our negotiation, all it takes is that you find one of these ministers, just bribe them, give them $500,000 US, give them $1 million, and then that's it. In 2025, if Accra is this, I've always said that when I look at some of the cities here in the Netherlands, somebody like Anna has also talked about it. These are masterpieces, right? You compare some of these cities with Accra. It's like more than 1,000 years between these cities and Accra. Literally Accra is a village. You go to Accra, just get out of Circle, just get out of the city center just a little bit, and even within the city center you see open gutters. And this is a city where almost everything is priced in US dollars, right? Houses are priced in US dollars. Okay, what a shame, right? And I think for this video, which means it is as though WODE MAYA has actually joined these guys to do something great. Isn't that what you do? Like your home, you clean up your home. You clean up your home, and this also reminds me of another topic, the topic of climate change. Right? It is easy to blame Europeans, to blame the Americans and the Westerners, that they are the ones polluting our environment, when we ourselves cannot take care of our environment. We cannot take care of our environment. Sanitation is not a priority for us. It's not a priority, right? What else is priority? $1 million homes, skyscrapers, luxury apartments.
Well, I'm gonna be here. Let's do it together. So that is why we're going. We're just on our way to go clean Accra. Doing a lot all the did to like this. I'm working with WODE MAYA.
You see, a lot of people will look at this and say, "Oh, Accra is really beautiful." You see, one of the words that I hear a lot is beauty. Okay, from most of these African YouTubers, how beautiful Africa really is. But here's the thing that we know. We know that beauty is not good enough. Beauty is not good enough. And it's almost like just because something is beautiful doesn't necessarily mean that it works. If you look at Accra from above, you can tell that this is a city that isn't planned properly, right? And skyscrapers are not necessarily, do not say anything about how well a city works. It doesn't say anything about the guy and the girl on the ground, the locals, right, or the citizens of Accra, right, the residents. Okay, it doesn't say anything about how they benefit from this city. And if you cannot be able to clean up your environment, what else can you do? What else can you do? Right? It's really a shame, I think, for someone to arrive from Europe or America and just they get out of the airport and just what do they say? They see gutters, open the gutters. I've seen $1 million homes. Right in front of the $1 million homes there are gutters. It's unbelievable.
Celebrity. I'm working with WODE MAYA.
So I made it. Should I say I just parked the car. This was the University of Ghana right behind me. So definitely what is happening is just like this drainage. You see? This comes from...
You see, this is a gutter. This is an open gutter. This is a lazy way to build a drainage system or a sewage system, right? This is an open gutter. Literally, this is a very lazy way, right? The reason why I say that it's a lazy way because I've worked in a company. I used to work in an IT engineering company. One of the things that we designed, right, were different type of gutters. It was a company where contractors or subcontractors would come in there with different projects. Okay, different neighborhood, different skyscrapers, different bridges, different parks, right, different sewage systems. And the company actually would take the contract and redesign it on, we had this program called AutoCAD, which is like 3D back then, right? You design it, they look at it, how it will work. There were so many companies, but there was this particular guy who came in there and with his company, the company was started by his dad. And I think his dad had actually been running the company for decades. He came in there with different styles of sewage systems, right? I sat down and I talked to him and I asked him a lot of questions. And he said to me, it's not very difficult to build, right? He said it's not really hard to build, to finance. It's not really that difficult. Where the difficulty is where to maintain it, because periodically you have to renovate it. You have to remove everything and then you have to change it. You have to change it, right? Which pipe you have to change them. I see how they are done here in the Netherlands. Something like this should not exist in Accra. This is really ugly, right? Something like this should never ever exist in Accra. Should never ever exist in Accra. This should be concealed. It's very easy to do, it's simple to do, right? But I don't know, for whatever reason, okay, we have actually failed miserably to do it. Well, I was in Egypt. I didn't see it much in Egypt, right? In the neighborhood that I lived, I didn't see it. But you come to sub-Saharan Africa and you see it everywhere.
Yeah. So
look at it.
This is what we did the last time that I came, right? The entire place was choked with sand, weed, and everything. So as you can see, that's what we did the last time. But it's a very long stretch, and I feel like 40 people cannot do it in a day. So I decided to pull up this initiative by inviting so many people to join us today. So instead of 40, I believe we're gonna, I only asked for...
One of the things that really annoys me about Africa, I hear how much these politicians talk about how there are no jobs. There are no jobs, there are no jobs, there are no jobs. I think partly it's because they have no freaking clue how to create jobs. If you go to any country, pick any country, the less developed the country is, the more jobs there are there. You go to a place like Ghana, right? There are jobs everywhere. right? There are jobs. You see jobs everywhere because Ghana is so underdeveloped. It's almost laughable, right? And if you think about how much money Ghana is pricing, or how Ghana overly prices things like houses, like land, like cars, it doesn't matter what your excuse really is. It doesn't really matter what your excuse really is. And then you realize this is a country that has actually failed its people, right? I say Ghana has actually failed Ghanaians so really badly, right? Ghana should not be a place where you're talking about cleaning the environment, right? You should be talking about something else, right? After what, 50, 60 years of independence?
100 people to join us today. So I'm expecting. Hi, what's up?
This is really an opportunity for him to create another video, okay, to talk about how great he's doing. He can make a lot. Let's take a look at these views. Okay, it's about 100,000 views. Okay, so 100,000, let's say, if you expect him to make what, 12,000, 10,000, yeah. So for him, this is really an opportunity. It's great that he's bringing this into the focus of a whole lot of people, so that people can see how really dirty Accra really is. Accra is really dirty. It's a very dirty city, really.
Let's say close to 100, but I'll do the roll call, man. I'll definitely do the roll call. Charlie, if you like today, dear, like, wow. Hey, wow, wow, hey, you too, man, I'll upload you too.
So, you see, my problem with these influencers, if you have a city like Accra, you're going to literally have people. And one of the things that we know about people is that we're very good at creating horrible messes. But are we very good at cleaning after ourselves? Hell no. So the city should have actually known that. When you design a city, when you plan a city, you have to also think about maintaining the city, managing the city. Cleaning, or the issue of sanitation, is one of the major issues that you're going to have to deal with. And it is also an area that it is also another area that is very, very lucrative. I understand that in Africa, almost everybody wants to be a billionaire. Almost everybody wants to be an influencer. Nobody really wants to be a cleaner. But actually, it is no longer called cleaning. It's called sustainability. If you have a job like this, which there are so many companies that employ people to do this, they train them, they call them environmentalists. Almost everyone today, even some of the climate change activists, they call themselves environmentalists. So this is really something that I think is great, that he can be able to organize people to come out and do this. What happens when you turn the camera off? What happens tomorrow, a week after that, a month after that? You go around Accra, you can see so many places that are just like that. They're just like that. They are dirty. You see the pollution, the issue. We've written about it on our website like a lot, and I think you can check it out. But I think it's one of the things that I don't like about Accra. I think it's also one of the things that makes Accra literally overpriced. Accra is not Dubai, right? Dubai is much cleaner. Accra is not Dubai. Accra is not Amsterdam. Accra is not, it's not Paris. I'm not really saying that there are areas in Paris where those areas are pretty dirty, right? But Paris is a lot more developed. But if you are paying for an Airbnb, let's say 50 euros in a place like Amsterdam, in Accra you should pay 10 euros. You should pay 5 euros, right? Because somebody who is living in Amsterdam is probably making a lot more. They're making maybe 20, 30 times more. But because Ghanaians are we are corrupt, right? Ghanaians are so corrupt, money hungry, we are greedy, right? So you come to Ghana and accommodation is priced almost the way that it is priced in Europe. So relatively, comparatively, is more expensive.
That's University of Ghana. SRC Secretary. Yeah. Because like I told you guys earlier, the University of Ghana is just right here. So I'm so happy to see a representative right here.
So this is what I don't get. Is this cloud chasing, or is this really doing the job on the ground? I will tell you, in my hometown, where I live here in the Netherlands, the people that do this type of jobs, right, to me, they are more important than doctors and lawyers and engineers. You ask most Ghanaians, they will tell you they want to be engineers, they want to be lawyers, they want to be accountants, they want those white collar jobs. But these are the jobs like being a driver, being a cleaner, being an environmentalist, being a security officer. These are jobs that really hold the country, or maybe even the cities, together, right? You don't need a camera there. Accra should have actually known. The politicians should have actually known, plan ahead, created all these jobs. These are jobs, these are livelihood. This is somebody else's school fees. This is somebody else's food. But that's why a Pakistani or a Lebanese or an Indian or Chinese could just come to Ghana, they look around and say, hey, these people cannot even clean up their environment. They cannot take care of their environment, right? They could just create a company and then they start freaking doing this, making a lot of money while the Ghanaians are there, right? I think that's about it, right? Until next time, if you like these type of videos, you can just let us know, leave your comment below, like, share, right? This is really a pressing issue, okay, for Accra. I think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace, right? It is just like this young lady saying that it is a responsibility problem.
We have a plastic problem.
And I think also it has a lot to do with awareness. It has a lot also to do with training. It has a lot to do with resources. I would say that if you get rid of all these politicians, get rid of them, okay, replace them with AI, program AI, because AI doesn't have any emotions, right? Maybe AI can do a better job than these politicians. They are lazy. They have no freaking clue what they're doing, right? Look at how much they have run the country into a ditch, literally. Okay, this is a metaphor though.
Hello everyone, my name is Lorinda, Investor of Ghana SRC General Secretary. Make
sure that you clean your freaking city and stop building all these luxurious homes, these big homes. Ghanaians are obsessed with luxury. Luxury has become the new addiction, the new cocaine, the new heroin, right? The new drug. Everybody really wants it, right? And it is really crazy. Instead of someone, if you cannot be able to clean up your environment, what else can you do? You can't do anything. What else can you do, right? It's a shame for an European or an American. Okay, I've seen other videos where some of these African Americans were just like making fun of Ghanaians in Accra. Like, you see all these big houses, and then when you come right in front of the building, there are no proper roads. There are no very good sewage systems. There are gutters and rubbish, right? It's polluted. And yeah, until next time.